Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to GRE. I think this is session 6. I am broadcasting from Boston, where I will be eerily lit harshly from the left side of my face for the rest of the evening. I'm coming to you from the Boston headquarters of my company, which is an impact investing consulting firm, and we have just opened this Boston office, and the light bulb immediately off of stage right, whatever, left side, to my left is uncovered. So if any of you has a sconce that we could borrow, please send our way. Until then, I will be lit as if I am under investigation by the left-hand side of the face police. I hope you can deal with it. I am wearing a suit to compensate for the weirdness, but also because I like suits. Okay, so welcome Andrea, welcome Crystal, welcome Jen, welcome Karen, welcome Whitney. We are going to have some GRE fun. We're going to start the way we start every single lesson, with your questions. So what is going on out there in GRE studying land? How are you guys doing? What questions do you have about the test, about individual questions, about graduate school, anything at all. So this is open session. Ask me anything you like. Or nothing at all, apparently. Any questions at all? No questions? Anything? No? Okay, if you have questions, let me know at the beginning of class, and you can always email me in between classes as well. Let's see. Just want to see if you guys are actually physically alive, so I'm going to open a poll and just answer yes if you are alive right now. Okay, only 80% of you are alive. Okay, only 80% of you answered that question. Okay. All right. We have 4 people in the class and 1 dead person, but that's okay. I'm not weirded out by that at all. We're just going to keep on teaching. And thank you to the live people who are here. Good. Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and pick up where we left off. I believe we left off here. Complete an idea, text completion. So I think that's where we left off. So let's get going with this. All right. Complete an idea type of question has 3 blanks. It's complicated and therefore difficult. Did we do this already? New text, have we done this already? I was told that we had not done this, but this is all seeming very familiar. Yes, Crystal says yes. Ha. Yeah, I think we've done this. Seems very, very done. Okay. All right. All right. Well, again, my prompter prompted me in the wrong direction, but we finished verbal session 5. Let's start with verbal session 6. How about that? What do you think about that? Verbal session 6, reading critical reasoning in reading comprehension passages. Have we done this? Yes or no? Can you just type in? Have we done this before? I think this is brand new. I teach 3 classes at once, so sometimes I need a reminder to keep me on pace. Looks like we have not done. Okay, great. All right. Okay. Crystal says example All right. Well, let's do this lesson 6, and then if you have questions on the previous lesson, you can ask it later. But let's dive into this brand new lesson. Here we go. Okay. Critical reasoning in reading. All right. Learning objectives. We're going to analyze a GRE argument. We're going to learn how critical reasoning questions work. We're going to identify assumptions in the arguments, develop a strategy for strengthened questions, and a strategy for weakened questions. Cool. Some GRE reading prompts are short persuasive essays or arguments. Many students try to solve argument questions without really understanding what an argument is. Again, pre-phrasing, rephrasing, everything. That is key. So argument is a coherent series of statements leading from premise to a conclusion. Great. So, in general, on the GRE, on the GMAT, on the LSAT, you're going to see the same kind of thing. Premise, 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 gap in logic, conclusion. Okay? Everything up top here, premises and evidence, and also assumptions. That is faulty or incomplete premises, and then there's a gap in logic before the conclusion. Your job is to expose the gap in logic and then try to either strengthen it or weaken it. That's frequently your job on critical reasoning passages. Okay. Key characteristics of critical reasoning passages: assumptions. Assumptions are unstated while the other parts can be found directly in the passage. The author writes as if the premises and evidence lead logically to the conclusion, but they never do. It never works out, because all the arguments you're going to see on the GRE, they stank. They are stanky arguments. They don't make sense. There's a gap in logic. All right, premises in arguments. A premise is a point the author uses to support his or her conclusion. So there is a red car outside. Therefore, my car is parked outside. What? Why would you think that? There is a red car outside. I own a red car. Therefore, my car is parked outside. What? There are a lot of red cars, yo. It doesn't mean it's your car. There is a red car with license plate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I own a red car with license plate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore, my car is parked outside. Better, but there are probably 50 of those. Yeah, one for each state, so I'm not sure that's an airtight premise. Anything except evidence given to support a point is a premise, including opinions or subjective value judgments. Thoughts introduced with keywords such as because or due to are always premises. Contrast words such as however and nevertheless probably introduce premises as well. So in the past decade, the number of hermitcrabs that have fallen under control of malevolent alien beings has increased dramatically. Okay? The number of hermit crab owners is growing exponentially, and hermit crabs have already begun to reveal destructive intentions. 2 premises leading to the conclusion. Therefore, introducing a conclusion, we will need to invest in maximum security hermit crab containers if we are to survive. That's hilarious, and probably not true, because it is a GRE argument, and all GRE arguments are crap. So there's a pretty big gap in logic there. We will need to invest in maximum security hermit crab containers. Sounds crazy, but that is a GRE argument. Okay. Oh, Andrea has a question now. Andrea, what is your question now? Just type it in and I'll answer it whenever you write it in. Okay. Evidence in arguments. Evidence from a study or experiment can validate or invalidate a premise. Solid piece of contradicting evidence can seriously weaken an argument. The answer to a question could also depend on identifying faulty or inconclusive evidence, such as misleading statements or statistics based only on misleading statistics or statements based only on trends rather than on data. So a scientific analysis concluded that the graphite used in the drawing was produced mainly in China at the time of the ship's single voyage. Therefore, the drawing was probably made by a Chinese person aboard the ship. Wait a minute. Made by a Chinese person just because the graphite was produced in China? I mean, everything that I'm broadcasting to you on right now was made in China, but I am not a Chinese person. So just because you're using a Chinese tool doesn't mean that you are a Chinese person making the product. All right. Assumptions. All GRE arguments require assumptions for the author's argument to make logical sense. So an assumption is an unstated idea related to premises and evidence. It represents a gap, missing link, or shift in topic or scope between the premises the author cites and the conclusion the author reaches. Most of the logical flaws in GRE reading arguments are due to assumptions. Great. All right, Andrea asked how long you have access to materials. I think Julie will answer that, but I think the answer is you have a long time. Yes, no expiration date. Thank you, Julie. All right, argument conclusions. The conclusion is the point of the whole thing. There are 3 ways you can identify the conclusion. Conclusions are marked with keywords such as therefore, thus, hence, and so. The idea the author is advocating or recommending is usually his or her conclusion. Run the one-sentence test. Ask yourself, if you had to delete everything else, is this the one sentence that would make sense alone? This is the one sentence that would, you read it and you'd be like, aha, that's the point. That's the whole point. Don't assume that the conclusion must come at the end. Sometimes at the beginning, and very occasionally it is in the middle. So be careful. Okay. In the past decade, the number of hermit crabs, blah, 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 blah. This is the maximum security one, and the conclusion is at the end. But in the second passage, we are not bringing enough water to guarantee we will cross the desert successfully. And then premise, and then premise. So the conclusion is the first sentence. So read for content. You must read and you must understand what's going on in the passage. In the second passage, the conclusion is up front. Can there be more than one conclusion? Not on a GRE passage. That is a good question. There's only one conclusion in the GRE passage. Critical reasoning reading passages. Some questions ask directly about the assumptions underlying the passage, but more involve those same assumptions. So this is the Edmund Spencer parentage question. So they're assuming that if your dad is a journeyman clothmaker, he doesn't have any money. Maybe he just likes to be a journeyman clothmaker, but he had a lot of money, like stashed away somewhere. And maybe it's assuming that not everybody got a scholarship. Maybe there are a lot of schools where if you're super smart, they will discount your tuition. They'll pay you to go to school. So that is an unstated assumption that getting a reduced fee on your tuition is only offered to folks who can't afford it. Well, that might be true, but that might not be true. Okay. The office hours Saturday are, I believe, 8:30 a.m., so Julie can confirm that. But I am offering office hours on a weekend morning. It's just going to be me and the cartoons. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, we've done the Edmund Spencer parentage problem to death. Okay, let's read this one together. Beating egg whites. I don't advocate beating any kind of eggs, no matter their color. They haven't done anything to you. But this is an egg white abuse question. Beating egg whites, which are made of protein and starches, adds tiny pockets of air to the liquid, creating a foam. Egg white foam. Oof. The consistency of this foam, commonly used in various baked dishes to give them a light, airy texture, depends on how long the whites have been beaten. Oh, it's just so sad. They really, I wish they would just the egg whites could just like be taken care of and hugged and just sort of like gently massaged maybe. All right, the egg whites have been beaten. When the whites are beaten too long, oh, now it's racial. Oof, this is really not right. Okay, when the whites are beaten too long, their protein structure breaks down. Oh, affecting the air bubbles needed for some dishes to maintain their shape. Wow. Don't beat whites too long. I guess that's an important thing. As the dish cools, because the protein structure has been compromised, the air bubbles shrink. Okay. Accordingly, some dishes made with overbeaten egg whites collapse after baking. Interesting. Thus, dishes prepared with correctly beaten egg whites should maintain their desired shape and more reliably than those prepared with overbeaten whites. Overbeaten whites, by the way, a terrible name for a smooth jazz band. Not a good name, overbeaten whites. But also not good for your baking, apparently. Very, very bad. Okay. In the argument provided, the two highlighted sentences perform which of the following functions? Well, let's go back. When the whites are beaten too long, protein structure breaks down, affecting the air bubbles. Accordingly, some dishes made with overbeaten egg whites collapse after baking. So this is cause or explanation and effect. So the first asserts the conclusion of the argument. Nope. B, the first supports the conclusion of the argument overall. The second supplies evidence for an objection. Nope. C, the first supports an intermediate conclusion, which in turn supports a further conclusion as given in the argument. The second is a statement of the intermediate conclusion. I don't think that second is an intermediate conclusion. D, the first acts as an intermediate conclusion, which in turn supports a further conclusion as given in the argument. The second sets out the position which the overall argument opposes. No, that's not right. They're on the same team, these two statements. The first part sets out the position which the argument overall opposes. The second part provides support for the conclusion of the argument. No. Yeah, I think that C is the only one where both statements are on the same team. So I might choose C. Okay. Any questions on example 2B? What was the second bolded sentence? Was the second bolded sentence the conclusion? Accordingly, some dishes made with overbeaten egg whites collapse after baking. Yeah, accordingly, comma, blank. Thus, dishes prepared with correctly beaten egg whites should maintain their desired shape more reliably. I think that last sentence is probably the final conclusion. The second bolded sentence is an intermediate conclusion. Taryn is saying, wait, so there are two conclusions then? No, there's only one main conclusion. There's an intermediate conclusion that you do on the way to your final conclusion. That's what I'm going to say. I'm sticking to it. It's different. It's like saying there's only one final destination, but there's like that gas station that you stopped at on your way to your final destination. It doesn't make the gas stop a destination. It just means that it's an intermediate place that you stopped. Karen, don't roll your eyes at me. Don't do that. I'm trying to help because the main conclusion would be thus, comma, dishes. Crystal, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. The main conclusion is that last sentence. Yeah. Taryn thinks that if you go to a gas station, then that is a destination. I think that would be sad if a gas station was your destination. If a gas station is a waypoint on your way to your destination. It's an intermediate place. Okay. All right. Did this one? All right, strengthen and weaken questions. Strengthen the argument questions require you to choose a piece of new information that would support an argument. That will answer the question, which of the following, if true, most strongly supports the proposed explanation? Okay. Let's see, more on strengthening the argument questions. The correct answer does not have to prove the conclusion 100%. It just has to provide more support to the logic of the argument. Some trap answers look good because they address ideas that are in the passage, but which are unrelated to the specific logic of the argument. Other trap answers relate very directly to the argument, but actually weaken it instead of strengthening it. Weaken the argument asks you to identify the piece of added information that will make the conclusion less persuasive. So here's my best example. Let's say that your boss is an erratic nut job, and your boss goes out and says something crazy. Now, you are that person's press secretary, and your job is to go out and say everything that the boss just said is completely correct because he's saying this, and if that's true, then this is probably true, which makes his conclusion totally reasonable. Totally reasonable. You have to be that sort of unfailingly loyal press secretary. Now, that's for strengthen the argument. For weaken the argument, you have to say, you have to be the journalist, raise your hand and say, excuse me, sir, what you said makes no sense because this and this could happen. And you have to bust open that conclusion. Okay. Review of topics. We did anatomy of an argument, how critical reasoning questions work, assumption questions, strengthen, weaken, critical reasoning strategy. Okay. Go ahead and do this one. Go ahead and read for about a minute and a half, and then we'll come back and answer a question. Go. Okay, coming back, and let's do a question. Which of the following statements is supported by the passage? Okay, go ahead and look at those. Okay, now let's go back into the passage. Okay. All right, now go ahead and write in your text box which ones you think it is. A, and or B, and or C. One more person. Crystal, what do you think? Okay, so we have an A and a B, A and B, B, A, B, A and B. All right, let's check this out. Which of the following statements is supported by the passage? Clearly not C, huh? Okay. A, the semi-liquid layer theory has not been accepted by all scientists. So not all scientists have accepted the semi-liquid layer theory. I think that's right. It said, because it says the latter theory, I think that's semi-liquid layer, has gained traction among most scientists. So that indicates that not everybody believes in it yet. So I think that's statement A. And then B, the semi-liquid layer theory depends on the physical properties of molecules. Those of you who chose B, tell me why in the text box. B goers, B folk, tell me why you chose it. The sentence starting with first described, I don't know what that means. Andrew guessed. Taryn says, I'm thinking it is a physical characteristic because it's talking about how the molecules are bonded. The properties, yeah, I don't know. Let's go back to the question. Which of the following statements is supported by the passage? Semi-liquid layer theory depends on the physical properties of molecules. It doesn't say anything about molecules. I guess, I don't know. I don't remember seeing anything about it. I know A is true. If there are those who think strongly that it is B, I would like to hear your argument. But I would probably just choose A for this one. Okay. Doesn't say anything about the physical properties of molecules in that passage. So I would veer away from B. All right, let's see what else we got. All right, go ahead and read this one. I'll give you 2 minutes, starting now, go. Okay, back in shirt sleeves. Let's move along and see what you get. All right. Okay, I'm going to open the poll in 3, 2, 1. Go for it. So only 2 of you have voted, so I'm not sure where everyone else is. Okay. Good. And then Taryn, I trust you will type in your answer. All right, guys. Half of you said it was E, 25% said C, 25% said D. Let's walk through this step by step, and Taryn says C. So 2C, 1D, 2E. Let's see what we get. All right, closing the poll. Let's go through this exactly as, I really dislike the light. Okay, back to the passage. Recent developments in kidney donation, blah, 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 have emphasized the growing role of technology in advanced medical care. More tech in medicine is good. When a patient requires a kidney now, a loved one usually says, "Take it from me, yo!" But that doesn't always work. Now, with computers, you can match donors and recipients, so you don't need your family member to be like, fall asleep and then wake up in a bathtub filled with ice. Sweet. As Quai has contended, I bet Quai is going to be important, technology's growing role creates great opportunities for patients and the medical community as a whole. The need for kidneys is skyrocketing, but the supply of donors is rock bottom. Building donor chains and extending them as much as possible, Quai says, is the best hope patients currently have. Such systems offer new possibilities for patients who have multiple issues that make them more likely to reject. So Quai is like, this is it. We've got to do this tech stuff. Which is fine, most accurately presents the passage's treatment of Quai's position. It agrees with it. All right, so none of you picked A, contention is dismissed. Nope. None of you picked B, contention is given a sympathetic hearing but is eventually rejected. No, it is not. C, her contention is suggested as an example of a compelling hypothesis that requires testing. I don't think it requires testing. They're not saying, well, we'll see, little Miss Quai. I'm not sure if you're right. We'll take it under advisement. That's not at all what the passage says about Quai. D, I'll keep it in the champion slot, but let's see what we get. Her contention is adopted in somewhat different form after being modified to address objections. I don't know about that. Is it better than C? In somewhat different form. I don't know if it's modified. I might pick C over D. How about E? Her contention is accepted unreservedly and cited as authoritative support. I like that, but that is awfully strong. So let's go back. Quai, in the back half of this passage. Such systems offer new possibilities even for patients who have issues that make them more likely to reject a given transplant, such as sensitivities to multiple antibiotics. I don't think it says a single negative word about Quai. don't think it says anything that modifies Quai's statements at all. So I would go with E. It's a very rare circumstance in which I choose the strongest possible language as a conclusion. But her contention is accepted unreservedly and cited as authoritative support. It doesn't modify her contention, and her contention is not put up for additional rigorous testing either. So I think it's E. All right, what are your questions? Karen says, even with all those possibles thrown around, as the number of potential donors, such systems offer new possibilities. Such systems are super great, even for patients who have issues that make them more likely. I don't see any other possibles. I see opportunities, I see possibilities, but those are just euphemisms for this thing's really great. I don't think that's expressing any doubt at all. Okay. All right. That's hard. That was tough. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, go ahead and do the zinc one. I do like the zinc one. I'll give you a minute and a half. Go. Okay, ladies, and it's mostly ladies, let's see what we get for a question. All right, what would strengthen this argument, this crazy argument? What would strengthen it? Okay, I'm going to go dark for a minute. Go. Okay, coming back and opening the poll to everyone except Karen, who only answers in the comment box. Everyone go. Okay, Karen has found a way to vote. I'm flabbergasted and really quite pleased. Okay, one of you has said C and everyone else has said B. All right. All right, let's check this out. Is it B or is it C? What is the argument? The argument is, since heavy metal exposure only causes permanent damage, a recall of these zinc bowls should dramatically reduce the frequency of premature death among pet parakeets. Yeah! Wait a minute. these zinc bowls are only causing death over an extended period of time. So why would a recall be like a totally reasonable thing to do? Well, let's go straight to B and C. B, in high concentrations, the zinc used in feed bowls is severely toxic to many kinds of household pets. Okay, it's toxic, but why would a recall reduce death? C, zinc is naturally eliminated from a parakeet's bloodstream in a few weeks from the last exposure. Oh, that's interesting. You know what? I think it is C. Let's look at A and D and E. The amount of zinc used in feed bowls is lower today than the amount used in feed bowls 10 years ago. Don't care. D, high blood levels of zinc have been found recently in some other species. Don't care about anyone else. E, zinc cannot be ingested by birds if the bowls are set up precisely as described in the manufacturer's instructions. Blaming the victim. Not cool. I think CC is the only one that talks about parakeets specifically and why yanking those bowls from market would stop the dead birds. B talks about other kinds of pets. Why in the world, you can choose an answer choice that talks about other kinds of pets. The conclusion is about parakeets. Why would you choose an answer choice that has to do with other pets? It's crazy. Let's look at this again. In recent years, many pet parakeets have died after developing seizures, very sad, and virtually all had unusually high levels of zinc, which causes those seizures. Sad. The only way these caged birds can sing or could have encountered this heavy metal was through their feed bowls, many of which have a zinc coating. Since heavy metal exposure only causes permanent damage over an extended period of time, a recall of zinc-coated feed bowls should dramatically reduce the frequency of premature death. Why would, among parakeets, why would that be the case? Because if you yank the bowls, then the parakeets are going to poop out the zinc, and then they're going to be totally fine. So that little part, that first part of the sentence, heavy metal exposure only causes permanent damage over an extended period of time, that's a red herring. That's not the relevant part of the conclusion. The relevant part of the conclusion is you yank these bowls, the parakeet's gonna live. Look at those conclusions here. B says in high concentrations, zinc is bad. We know zinc is bad. The conclusion is you yank the bowls and the parakeet's gonna live. So some of you did not pinpoint the conclusion. Congrats to the person who chose C. Very, very well done. Okay. All right. All right, let's do this one. Go ahead and read it. I'll give you a minute. Go. Okay, think you got it? Let's check it out. What weakens the passage's argument? I'm going to go back. First of all, what's the argument? Okay. What would weaken it? What would make that conclusion a little wacky? It's a little suspicious about it. You got it? Okay. Go match your answer to the correct answer. Okay. Gonna open the poll in 3, 2, 1. Go for it. Only one person has voted. Oh, man. Okay. Okay, guys. 2 of you got B, 2 of you got C, 1 of you got E. All right. What weakens the passage's argument? Well, the argument is that since all the people promoted by Governor Sturbins were hired by his predecessor, even though the 2 governors belonged to opposing political parties, it is clear that the 2 governors made secret agreements before Sturbins was elected. Well, that seems crazy. But what in particular would weaken that argument that they made secret agreements? Well, all of the people promoted by Sturbins were hired by his predecessor. So Sturbins is hiring, let's say he's Republican, he's hiring all the Democrats. Even though, so they clearly made secret agreements. What would undermine that conclusion? Well, A, productivity by government agencies has risen since Governor Sturbins was elected. So the fact that he hired all Democrats, even though he's Republican, what does that have to do with anything? We're talking about people hiring. Productivity by agencies, it's not talking about the people who were hired. It's completely out of scope. B, former Governor Baxter did not publicly oppose Governor Sturbins' election. That would strengthen the conclusion, wouldn't it? That the conclusion is they have a secret pact, and B is like they kind of like each other. That doesn't weaken the conclusion. There's no way that it's B. And B doesn't talk about the people that are being hired. The conclusion is about people being hired. Come on, folks. C, almost all of the current state employees were hired under Governor Baxter. Okay. All right. So everyone there was hired under Governor Baxter, so he had to promote somebody. And so almost all the current state employees were hired under Governor Baxter. All right, I'll give that as the best so far. D, all of the people who retired had been eligible for retirement at least 3 years earlier. Huh. So they retired. Yeah, but he's talking about the hiring people. Why would he hire these particular people? Not why would those retired people retire at that point as opposed to earlier. I don't think it's D. So C, still the best so far. E, Governor Sturbins' party routinely claims that the state employs more people than is necessary to serve taxpayers sufficiently. So Sturbins is Republican. He says the state has too many people working for it. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Governor Sturbins is a Republican. He doesn't like that the government employs that many people. I don't know what that has to do with anything. So I think it's C. So to those of you who chose C, correct. So Whitney says, so when it comes to argument questions, whether strengthening or weakening, it's based mainly off the conclusions, completely based on the conclusion. So in critical reasoning passages, as we said at the beginning of the lesson, you have a premise, you have another premise, you have a gap in logic and a conclusion. in strengthen and weaken questions, your job is to look at that conclusion and figure out why it does not follow from the premises given, and then expose the gap in logic. And either, if you're strengthening it, you have to go on as the press secretary for this crazy, crazy person and defend the conclusion, or if you're weakening it, you have to go on and say that this conclusion is a cray-cray conclusion. Okay, that is your job. But it all comes from the conclusion. You have to properly identify the conclusion before you can do this. Okay, you guys are not doing all that hot at the critical reasoning stuff, so we're going to do some more critical reasoning until you get it right. Okay, I'm going to let you do this one. I'll give you a minute. Go. Okay, guys, above ground fruiting bodies. That was my unfortunate nickname in 4th grade. Very sad time in my life, but I can admit it now since it's part of a reading comprehension question. Above ground fruiting bodies expand by absorbing fluid. Yeah, it's mean. It's a mean thing to say to a kid, but that was my childhood. Okay, let's go ahead and see what the question is for this. All right, which of the following if true most seriously weakens the argument? Okay, I'm going to go back, figure out what the argument is. Okay, and what would weaken that argument? All right, let's see what we got. Okay, guys, let's open the poll in 3, 2, 1, go for it. Okay, I think we did it. A majority of you got it correct. It is in fact C. Why? Because the conclusion is that we got a lot of rain, and so we're going to get a lot more mushrooms. And C says, you got a lot of rain, but rain means you got a lot of snails. And when you got a lot of snails, you're going to get a lot of those mushrooms being eaten. And so you won't have a giant increase in mushrooms. Good. Why is it not D? Even though rain allows parasol mushrooms to fruit, it does not affect the maximum size to which the fruit can expand. Who cares? The conclusion is about the population growth of the mushrooms. I don't care how big the above ground fruiting bodies are, not just because it's a very traumatic term in my personal life, but also because it doesn't have anything to do with the reproduction of mushrooms and the growth of that population. Okay, does that make sense? Those of you who picked D, this is incredibly important, okay? These kinds of questions, critical reasoning questions, they're not just the basis of GRE verbal. They're also fundamental to your ability to thrive in graduate school and your ability to function as a citizen and as a voter. If you hear, you know, the economy the economy has grown by 1%. It has grown by 1% every quarter for the last 30 quarters. America exports more than it's ever exported in its history. Therefore, immigrants are taking American jobs. All right, you should be like, hold on. There's a gap in logic there. I think you need some more information to make that conclusion true. Maybe there's some evidence that you can provide that would strengthen that, but I could also think of some things that would weaken that. We, in this country, but also around the world, we have a critical reasoning deficit. If you have excellent critical reasoning skills, you will be heavily rewarded for those skills in the corporate world, in the academic world, and throughout life. You will not be rewarded in politics, but you will be a better and more productive citizen. So please, please, please learn how to spot gaps in logic and learn how to say, well, that conclusion doesn't necessarily follow, but this certain statement would make that conclusion more true if you could provide that piece of evidence, and this certain statement would make that conclusion much less likely. Okay? Critical reasoning. I am a fan, big fan. Okay. Okay. When it comes to argument questions, yes, you have to focus on the conclusion, the gap in logic that precedes it. Okay. GRE argument has three distinct parts. It has the premises, the gap in logic, and the conclusion. Critical reasoning questions require you to identify weaknesses in arguments. Assumptions are the unstated parts that lurk in the shadow of the gap in logic. Okay, strengthened questions require filling in logical gaps. Weakened questions require you to bust through those logical gaps and expose those logical gaps for the gaps that they are. Okay, here's your homework, vocab and arguments, and this stuff in the purple book that is listed at the bottom of the screen. Okay, any questions on the verbal section? Any questions? All right, we are going to just jump straight into Quant Lesson 6. Let's do it. Quant Lesson 6, data analysis, sets, and probability. Let's go for it. Oops. All right, we're going to learn averages, median, mode, and range. You're going to learn standard deviation, frequency, probability distribution, graphs, sets and probability, regular probability, counting, and combinations. Let's do it. Okay, we're going to learn lots of things. Let's do it. Mean and median. The mean is the average. So given a set of data, you have the following formula. Average is the sum of the terms divided by the number of terms. So what's the average of 1, 2, and 3? Well, it's 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6, divided by 3. So the average is 2. The average of 1, 2, and 3 is 2. Okay, what's the average of 1, 2, 3, and 4? Well, added to 4, so it's 10 divided by 4 terms. 10 divided by 4 is 2.5. Okay, so the average of 1, 2, 3, and 4 is 2.5. The sum of the terms divided by the number of terms. Median is the middle number. You array the numbers from smallest to largest, and then you pick the middle number. If you have an odd number of terms, such as 1, 2, 3, then the middle number, pretty easy, it's just a middle number. If you have an even number of terms, like 1, 2, 3, 4, Well, you got to take the two middle numbers and then average them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, the two middle numbers are 2 and 3. Average them, 2.5. Got it? That's mean and median. Okay, mode and range. Mode is the term that occurs most frequently in the list. A set can have no mode if no number appears more than once. So 1, 2, 3, 4, no mode. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, the mode is 1. You can have multiple modes, like 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3 are the modes. Okay, so you can have multiple modes. It's the term that occurs most frequently, but it's got to occur more than once. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What about 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4? Oh, then it's just 1 and 2. Got it? Okay. Range is how spread out the data is. It's just the largest number minus the smallest number. So for that first set of numbers, 1, 2, 7, 7, and 8, what is the mode? Just type in what the mode is. Looks like Jen got it, Crystal, you got it, Andrea got it, Whitney got it. It's 7. What is the range? Type in the range. Yep, you all got it. It's also 7. 8 minus 1. Okay, what's the mode of that second set? 1, 2, 2, 7, 7, 8. What is the mode of the second set? Yep, you all nailed it. It's 2 and 7. You got it. Okay, let's move on. Standard deviation is a measure of how spread out the data is from the mean. Okay, there is a formula, but I'm not going to teach it to you right now because you don't need it. I'm going to show you visually what standard deviation is. Let's say you have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? The mean is 3. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. That's the mean. Okay? So standard deviation is how spread out are the numbers. Well, I don't know. They seem to be about 1 apart, and like if you chose a number at random, you'd probably get something around like, I don't know, it'd be about 1 away from the mean. Maybe it's 0 away from the mean. Maybe it's 1 away from the mean. Maybe it's 2 away from the mean. So maybe you get something about 1, maybe a little more than about 1 away from the mean. But it's about spread out like this. Here's my question. Here's how to spread out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the standard deviation of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more spread out, less spread out, or the same? So type in more spread out, less spread out, or the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. More, less, or the same? What do you think? Yep, you all got it. Exact same. Here's my next question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that more spread out, less spread out, or the same as -1, -2, -3, -4, -5? More, less, or the same? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Exact same. That's exactly right. It's the exact same. Guess what? If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1,000,001, 1,000,002, 1,000,003, 1,000,004, 1,000,005, same standard deviation. Here's my next question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. More spread out, less spread out, or the same? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. More spread out. That's exactly right. So that's a larger standard deviation because they're more spread out from the mean. What about 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. More spread out, less spread out, or the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Less spread out, so smaller standard deviation. That's it. That's what standard deviation means. I have one other thing to teach you about standard deviation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 1, 1, 1, 5. Which one is more spread out, the first one or the second one? Jim got it. Yep, Andrea, you got it. Crystal got it. And Whitney got it. The second one is more spread out. If you have a set where you have an outlier, where one number is like way far away from the others, that is going to make the standard deviation go nuts. It's going to make it just skyrocket. So when you have a super outlier, the standard deviation goes through the roof. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're about spread this. They're each about 1 away from each other. 1, 1, 1, 1, 5. The mean is lower, closer to the 1, and then you have that one crazy outlier, which makes the standard deviation go nuts. Okay, so the second one is a much higher standard deviation. Great job. That's all. That's what you really need to know about standard deviation on the GRE. So which has a greater standard deviation, the first set or the second set? On this page, the first set or the second set? Yep, you all got it. The first set has a higher standard deviation. Great. All right. This is tough, but we're going to see what you guys can do with it. All right. I'll give you 2 minutes. Go. Okay, we're going to come back and open the poll in 3, 2, 1, and go for it. Okay, all right. Had a little divergence here. A quarter of you said C, quarter said D, and half of you said E. Let's check it out. Okay. A set of 17 different integers has a median of 44 and a range of 45. Okay. So let's type this out. Got a set of 17 different integers, and there's a median of 44. Got it. And a range of 45. Aha. So maybe Oh, it's different integers. Bummer. So it can't just be a bunch of 44s on top of each other, and it can't be 44 plus 45. Then it would be 89. It can't be that because there are different integers, and the median is 44, so this is the middle number. So it's 17 different integers, which means that 8 integers are above 44 and 8 integers are below 44. It's asking for the greatest possible integer that could be in this set. Well, I have a question. If you have a 1 and a 2, guess what? The range is 45. So if you have a 1 in here, that's the smallest. What's the range? Range is from 1 to 46. That's not going to work. You can't have a 1. You can't have a 2 either. What if you had a 10? Then the range, if that's your smallest, then the range is up to 55. Is that the greatest possible integer you could have? How do you get the greatest possible integer? You want this number, this smallest number, you want that to hug 40. You want it to be as close to 44 as possible. So guess what? You got to have 8 integers below 44. And I want to hug as close as possible 44. So I'm going to have 44. And then I'm going to have 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 36 is my lowest number, and the range is 45. So what is 36 plus 45? 1, 8. And that's the answer. Okay? So for the one person who got C, well done. For everyone else, do you understand how you get it now? Does this make sense? Okay. Jin, I did not assume it's a set of consecutive integers. It just told me that I had 17 different integers, and I wanted to hug 44 as closely as possible. So on the other side of 44, they might not be consecutive integers. Maybe it's 44, 46, 50, 52. But they told me the range is 45, and I wanted to get the biggest possible integer, which means I wanted that smallest number in the set to be as high as I could possibly get. And the way to make it as high as possible is to hug 44. Does that make sense? Hug it. Hug it out. Okay. Jin, let me know if that makes sense. I'm going to erase drawings. Okay. Okay, let's move along. Okay, go ahead and try this one. Oh, no, I don't like the standard deviation of 3. That's not good. This one is a nasty one, and it's much harder than what you're going to see for the biggest part of your test. We will do this in office hours. So come to office hours and we will do example 2. Okay, frequency and probability distribution. Frequency distribution is just a way to express how often one thing happens versus another. The bar graph below shows the frequency of each color of gummy bear in a bag. So you got about 18 yellows and 20 reds and 22 greens and 17 whites and 15 oranges. Cool. All right, total of 92. Questions may also involve relative frequency distributions, in which each frequency represented above by 1 bar is divided by the total number of data in the distribution, resulting in relative frequency. So you divide the red 20 by the total 92. Make sense? All right, probability distribution is the likelihood of different outcomes of a certain event. It's often shown in a bar graph as below. Okay, so that's your probability distribution. The likeliest number of heads in 10 coin flips is 5, but you're quite likely to see 4 or 6 heads in 10 coin flips. Okay, go ahead and try this one. Oh man, I'm gonna do this one with you. Here we go. Oh, I got a question. Okay. Whitney says, if it asked for the lowest, would you do the opposite? Yes, that's exactly right. I would hug 44 on the other end, on the greater end of 44, and I would try to get the lowest by hugging 44 on that side. Yeah, you're exactly right. Whitney, you nailed it. Exactly right. Okay, let's do this one together. The distribution of the numbers of cents of each item in a vending machine has a mean of 85 cents. Cool. All right, so 85 is in the middle. Then there's some stuff on the right, stuff on the left. Standard deviation of 12 cents. Okay, so 12 on this side, 12 on that side. That's 1 standard deviation on each side. 2 standard deviations on this side is 24. 2 standard deviations on this side is 24, right? So I guess this is 73, and then this is another 12, so it's 61. And this is like 97, and then another 12. It's like 109. Cool. Which of the following numbers of cents are within 2 standard deviations of the mean of the distribution? Well, anything between 61 and 109, right? So no, no, yep, no. That's it. That's the entire question. Is it a standard? A standard deviation is like a unit. It's like 1 standard deviation away. If it's like 1 standard deviation away is 12 cents, and you go 12. The mean plus 12, and the mean minus 12. There you go. That's 1 standard deviation away on either side. 2 standard deviations away. Well, 85 plus 24, 85 minus 24. Anything between 61 and 109. Okay? Does that make sense? It's not that hard, I hope. Right? Questions? Any questions? Any questions? No questions on that? Yeah? Ready to go? Okay. Let's move along. All right. This one I want you to do on your own. I'm going to go dark. A minute and a half. Go for it. Okay, coming back. Let's see how you did. I'm gonna open the poll in 3, 2, 1, and go for it. Okay, very interesting. Okay, I'm gonna close the poll. All right, we got a pretty even distribution here. Speaking of frequency distributions, people seem united in the idea that it is not E, but everyone, someone answered the rest of the answer choices. So let's check this out. All right, the table above shows the frequency distribution for the heights of students in a certain class. Okay, so what we got here is one person is 5 feet tall. Shorty. Sorry, apologies for being tallest. Heightest? Anyway, discriminating against short people. I love short people, some of my best friends are short people. All right, 3 people are 5'3", 2 people are 5'4", 5 people are 5'6", 2 people are 5'8", 1 person is 5'9", and 1 person is 5'11". Interesting. Table above shows the frequency distribution. If a student is selected at random, what is the probability that his or her height is between 61 and 67 inches? Aha, so can they be 61 inches? Can they be 67? They have to be between 61 and 67 inches. Okay, so how many people are between 61 and 67? 3, 2, 5. So what's 3 plus 2 plus 5? I think that's 10. And how many total people are there? Well, 10 plus 1, that's 11, plus 2, that's 13, 14, 15. Okay, 1 person got that right. You guys, frequency distribution, it says frequency is the number of people that are that height. Okay, so this is reading charts 101, right? So if you missed it, please do this one over again, and just lots and lots of charts for your homework, okay? Not angry, but you got to do your homework, and this is stuff that the GRE is going to assume that you know how to do. So you can miss as many questions as you want in practice. There's no judgment. It's a judgment-free zone. Total judgment-free zone. But I want you to get this right on the test. It's very, 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 very important that you know how to do this stuff. Okay? Any questions on how to do this? Whitney made me laugh. Thank you, Whitney. Okay. All right. Let's keep on trucking here. All right. Box plots. Sounds like a Polish pork dish or something, like a soup. Would you like some box plots? Or like a fashion, like a German fashion. Ooh, danke por la box plot. Anyway, I'm gonna stop embarrassing myself. Box plots are also known as box and whisker plots. They're a way to describe a range of data. Box plot shows the range, the median, and the quartiles of the data. So look at the basic box plot below. So the median is that thick line in the middle of the box. And then the second quartile is just the left-hand side of the box inside the box, and the third quartile is the right-hand side of the box inside the box. And then you have the whiskers on each side, describing the fourth quartile and the first quartile. So guess what? What's the smallest number in this set of numbers? Well, it's where that first quartile ends. So the smallest number in this whole set here is right here. It's 1. What's the biggest number in this whole set? It's right here. That's 22. So what this is saying is a quarter of the numbers are between 16 and 22. a quarter of the numbers are between 1 and 6. And then another quarter of the numbers are between 6 and 9. And another quarter of the numbers are between 9.2 or whatever and 16. Cool. I bet there are a lot of numbers in here. Not so many numbers in here. Well, actually, I take it back. There are the exact same number of terms in this space as there are in this space. Because this space that I'm highlighting right now is a quarter of the terms, and this space that I'm highlighting right now is a quarter of the terms. That's what it means to be in a quartile. It means that a quarter of the numbers in this set are inside that quartile, that part of the box. Okay? That makes sense? All right, let's see what we got here. Erase. Okay. Let's see how you do on a box plot question on your own. Ready? Go. Okay, guys and girls, let's come back and see how you guys did. And girls. I'm going to open the poll in 3, 2, oh, I just opened it. Go for it. Okay. The good news is no answer choice was neglected. Somebody chose an answer choice, every single one. Everyone's going home with a dance partner. This is great. The bad news is that most of you missed it. So let's really figure out what's going on with this here. Each of the 32 students in a calc class received a numeric grade for their final exam. Great. So everyone gets a grade, and there are 32 grades. 32 grades. Jill's grade was the highest grade in the 3rd quartile. Aha, so there are quartiles. So we have grades 1 through 8, grades 9 through 16, grades 17 through 24, and grades 25 through 32. Okay, here are my quartiles. Ranked, the lowest grade is down here, and the highest grade is up here, and Jill's grade is the highest in the 3rd quartile, which means she got the 24th grade, or the 9th highest grade. Another Cal class with 12 students took the same final exam, and each of these grades were lower than the median grade in Jill's class. What's the median grade? It's right here. So 12 folks got grades down here. So now there are 28 kids who got really bad grades. If these 12 grades were combined with the grades in Jill's class, you got, okay, what will Jill's grade be with respect to the quartiles of the combined classes? All right, so you got 28 down here. Well, she's just got the 9th highest. That's what's going on. She's got the 9th highest, so you got 44 grades now. She's got the 9th highest, so there are 8 people above her. So, you know, 44 through 41, 37 through 40, she's got the 36th grade. She's got the 36th out of 44. What is that? 36 out of 44. Well, let's see what, oh, we're doing quartiles again. Okay, quartiles. Well, if it's 44 grades, then you're going to get 1 through 11. You're going to get 12 through 22. You're going to get 23 through 33, and you're going to get 34 through 44. Okay, and she's got the 36th grade, which means she's got the 3rd lowest in the top quartile. So 3rd lowest in the 4th quartile. Answer is D. One person got it right, everyone else got it wrong. Tell me, right in the text box, what is tripping you up? Because this has been a bad day for this class. So tell me what tripped you up on this specific chart. What was it about this problem that confused you? I am very concerned. Guys, you got to type in whatever it was that tripped you up. Just type it in the question box, in the chat box. Okay. How did I put the number ranges into quartiles? Okay. So it says that there are 32 grades, and you get what a quartile is, right? There, if you array all, let's say the grades are, you know, on a scale of 1 to 32. So you can get a 1, you can get a 1, you can get a 2, you can get a 3, you can get a 4, all the way up to 32. Okay, so you have just ranked them, and everyone got a different grade. You've ranked them lowest to highest. Okay, so the quartile is you split all of these grades into 4 buckets. Okay, so the first 8, 1 through 8, that's going to be your first bucket. That's your first quartile. Your second bucket is 9 through 16. How do you get that? Well, each quartile is 8 numbers. Okay, so 1 through 8, those are your first 8 numbers. What are your next 8 numbers? Well, you start with the next number after 8, and then you go up to, you know, you can even do it on your hands. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 8 numbers. Okay, and then 8 numbers beyond that, which is 17 through 24, and then 8 numbers beyond that, 25 through 32. And then when you have 44, then each quartile is 11 numbers. Okay, and that's what I do with the second part. Okay, so you have to think, so this is directed to Whitney, you have to think, where is she in relation to the original 32? And you see what I did here? She's the top of the 3rd. She's the 24th grade. And then, so how many people are above her? Exactly 8. And now you add all these people, but these people are below her. These people are in the bottom half of the class. An extra 12 people that are below her. So now she's not 24th out of 32. She's 36th out of 44. Does that make sense? So what you said is that those 12 people, they came in and some got higher and some got lower, and who knows? That's not what happened. It tells you that the 12 people who took the exam got lower grades. So you add those over here in the bottom zone. Okay? All right. Okay. Right. So Andrea, where do those 12 additional students go? Do they get spread out among all the other 32, and then you don't know where Jill ends up, or do you know that those 12 they get stuck in the bottom, and now Jill's doing a lot better? So if you just knew that they got in the bottom and now Jill's doing better, you would know that number one, she's not going to be C. She's not going to be the exact same spot. Because there are more people below her, and she's not going to be lower than she was, so she's certainly not going to be A or B. And then, so which is it, D or E? She's in the top quartile, but where in the top quartile? So A, B, and C make absolutely no sense. If you're third in your class, if you're in the top of the third quartile in your class, and then you add 100 people that are dumber than you into the class, and they do worse on all the standardized tests, are you still the top of the third quartile? No, you're in a lot better spot now. You've been elevated. You're a better percentile. And that's how percentiles work, okay? Does that make sense? In this case, 1 is the lowest grade. One is the lowest grade in the class. You could reverse it if you want and start numbering them from the top. But the key is to know that all of the numbers, all of the grades are ranked, and that's and what's a quartile? It's a fourth of the grades. A fourth of the people are in those. So Bonnie says, with that many people added and knowing they are below the median, it is almost certain that Jill is going to be bumped up to the fourth quartile. So Bonnie, that's exactly right. You've got it exactly right. Okay. So Bonnie says they're not dumber, they're just less prepared. And that is very well said. So Bonnie, I have to if I had a cap, I would doff my cap to you. You are exactly right. Test results are not a reflection of native intelligence. They're a question of preparation. Reflection of preparation. Well done. Well said, Savani. Very, very well said. Okay. Let's keep moving. All right, guys. I really want you to do this lesson on your own. I really need to know that you guys are learning this stuff. So go ahead and do this one. I'll give you 1 minute and 40 seconds. Go. Okay, I'm going to come back and see how you did. In 3, 2, 1, and go for it. Okay, one more person. Okay. All right, so majority of you think it's A, some of you think it is D. Let's check it out. The median home price in City A is $15,000 higher than the median home price in City B. Great. So all we know is that City A, the median is like 115K, and in City B, the median is 100K. I don't know where any of the houses are. I only know the median. Okay. The 25th percentile of home prices in City A, well, could be as high as just, City A. So could be up to here, right? Up to 115K, or it could be like super low. So it might be 5K, or it might be 114K. I don't know what the distribution is. 114K. Right? Okay. The 25th percentile of home prices in City B, well, it might be 99K, or it might be like 1K. Who knows? So it might be that A is greater than B, or it might be that B is greater than A. I don't know. So it's D. Okay, that's why it's D. All right, any questions? You have to think about a distribution. You know, if you have a distribution, you might have 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 300, 1,000, 1,001, 1,002. Okay, what's the middle number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the middle number, 2. What's the 25th percentile? It's like right there. What's the 75th percentile? It's like right there. Okay, so you don't know how the percentiles work. You don't know what the distribution of prices is. It just told you the median, so you don't know what the 25th percentile is. Could be right up close to the median, could hug the median, or it might be super far away. Okay, so you have to deal with what you definitely know. In this case, you don't know the relationship from the information they give you. Okay, any questions? Okay, folks, graphs and quantitative comparisons, stuff like this is really, really, really critical. If you're having trouble with this, I highly recommend Math Review for Standardized Tests. I will write it out here. It is a book. It's a yellow book published by CliffsNotes. It will help you get familiar with basic math concepts. Math Review for Standardized Tests. It's about $10. I have an ironclad belief in the fact that nobody is born great at math. Nobody is born incapable of math. Math is a taught discipline. So if you haven't been taught this, it's time to learn it. If you want to go to grad school, you want to ace the GRE, it's time to learn it. It's not too late. Nobody's good at math. Nobody's bad at math. Just people who've learned it, people who haven't been taught it correctly. I have worked with all kinds of folks. So this is how you learn math. You start at the beginning. Okay. Great. Crystal just bought the Math Review book, and I hope it's useful. Crystal, can you vouch for it? Is it useful? Crystal says, Andrews came in the mail, and Crystal likes it so far, so good. Let me know if you need any specific guidance on in that book. Okay. Yes, it is very simple, very easy to understand, lots of good practice, and it's cheap. That's why I like it. All right, let's do a few more. Overlapping sets and Venn diagrams. All right, so Venn diagrams look like this. You've probably all seen them. They look like this. You have this and this. And this part, they probably didn't teach you. This is a proper Venn diagram. This is called the neither box. Every Venn diagram has a neither box. You must account for the neither box, always. Here, this is called circle A. This is called circle B. And this is the overlap part. Okay? So the total in a Venn diagram is A plus B minus both plus neither. Got it? So this is the neither box. Here's A, here's B, and here's the both section. Okay, so here's the thing. When you count the number in A, you're counting everything in what I will call, use a different color. This I will call left Pac-Man here. This is left Pac-Man. And then you're counting the both. And when you count B, you're counting everything in right Pac-Man. And you're counting the both. So I don't know why I just made them lovers, but that's what happens sometimes. It's late at night. So what happens is you counted the both section twice. That's why you have to subtract the both section. So when you count A, everything in here, everything in left Pac-Man plus the both. When you count B, everything in right Pac-Man plus the both. You counted it twice. So you can either do this, or you can say total equals left Pac-Man plus both pellet. This is the pellet. Everyone's trying to eat the pellet. Left Pac-Man plus both plus right Pac-Man plus neither. Okay, so you can do that. So these are the two ways you can account for everything in a Venn diagram. Total equals left Pac-Man plus both plus right Pac-Man plus neither, or A plus B minus both plus neither. Okay, does that make sense? Awesome. Okay, let's erase and keep moving. Okay, this is just what I taught you. Okay, this is a much more complicated version of everything I just said. Okay, let's do this one together. In a development of 80 homes, so that's total, oops, let's get our pen. Total equals 80. 50 have a two-car garage. 40 have an in-ground swimming pool, and 35 have both. How many homes have neither? What's in the neither box? Okay, let's do left Pac-Man and right Pac-Man. So if 35 are in the pellet and 40 are in this whole circle, how many are here in just right Pac-Man? I bet it's 5. How about in this circle? You have 50 in this entire circle, but 35 are in the pellet, so I bet you have 15 here. So 80 equals 15 plus 35 plus 5 plus neither. So this is 55 plus neither equals 80, and you have 25. Okay, what about the other way? Total equals A plus B minus both plus neither. What about that? Well, A is 50, B is 40, both is 35. Who knows what neither is? And 80 is the total. So 80 equals 90 minus 35. 90 minus 35 plus n. 80 equals, what is 90 minus 35? I bet that's 55 plus n. N equals 25. Okay? Whichever formula you use, you can figure out the neither box if you have all the other variables. Got it? Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Okay. Let's see how you do with a couple more questions. So go ahead and try this one. I'll give you 2 minutes. We'll do 2 more questions, this one and one other. Go. Okay, we're going to come back and see how we do here. We're going to open the poll in 3, 2, 1, go for it. Okay, one more person. Please vote. All right, this is what we got. 20, 20, 40, 0, and 20. All right. P and Q are sets of integers, okay? P triangle Q is the set of integers that belong to set P or Q. So all of them, but not both. Aha, ha, ha, ha. Ho, 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 ho. Aha. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, I think that means this. P or Q, but not both. So I bet that is only left Pac-Man and right Pac-Man, but not the pellet. All right. If P consists of 15 integers, Q is 8 integers, and 4 integers are in both. And what's in here? 11. And what's in here? 4. So how many integers are P and triangle Q? It's 15. So good job for the 2 of you who got 15. For the rest of you, you got to do left Pac-Man and right Pac-Man. I don't know what else to tell you. Okay? Any questions? All right, we have 3 minutes left. I could have you do another question, but I'm not going to do that because today, and we're going to start on slide 20 of slide 20, Quant Lesson 6 on Tuesday. Slide 20, Quant Lesson 6. Here's what I gotta say. We have 3 minutes left. I am speaking directly to you, Andrea, Crystal, Jin, Solani, and Whitney. Thank you for staying till the end. Here's the thing. Today was tough. A lot of you missed a lot of questions. I left you on your own instead of walking through questions with you because I needed to know how you guys were doing. The answer is, well, we got some practice to do. We're going to do some practice together. It's going to be good. I don't want you to feel discouraged or disheartened or upset in any way because this is practice. And practice is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to hurt. It's supposed to fall down. You're supposed to figure out what you're not getting 100% correct. I need you to work harder. I need you to do the studying. This stuff is learnable. It's completely learnable. I have taught people who are much worse off than you. Some people just 2 months in the country. Some people didn't learn English until they were 20. One person didn't learn English until she was 40, and I taught her how to get in the top 10% of test takers. None of this is incomprehensible. This stuff is chosen because most people have done this stuff at some point. They could test you on your knowledge of basket weaving, or your knowledge of Russian politics, or your knowledge of nuclear engineering. But they just thought that wouldn't be as universal or fair. This is what they've chosen. They've chosen algebra and arithmetic and strange overlapping sets and Venn diagrams and grammar and critical reasoning. They feel like this is a level playing ground. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that's what it is. This is the sport. Maybe you're better at a certain sport or a different or another physical motion, but if everyone has to run a certain race in a certain way, then you know what? You got to learn how to run that race. This race is about practice. This race is about fundamental skills that you have to have. You have to have arithmetic skills. You got to learn those. If you didn't learn them in middle school or high school, now is the time. You got to get that yellow book. You have to practice and practice and practice some more. The Ready4 app and the Ready4 site is there for you to practice. It is there for you to get better and better and better. There are lots of tools that we provide. There's also the GRE guide, the book in which we assign homework all the time. That's useful too. Speaking of homework, in addition to your verbal homework, please do any non-probability questions from this. So data analysis sets 1 through 3. Data analysis sets 1 through 3, and in the GRE book, data analysis, the stuff I'm highlighting right now, that's your homework between now and Tuesday. Here's your other homework. I want you to take a full-length test, and I want you to tell me either in office hours or via email where you're starting. So I need to know where your score is, and I want to know where you want to get to, and I will give you a personalized study plan so that you can get where you want to go. Okay? It's very, very important that you stick with me, don't lose heart, you keep practicing. Okay, we're going to start on slide 20 on Quant Lesson 6 next time. We're going to finish up the Quant, we're going to do a little more Quant, and we're going to do some verbal together. In the meantime, send me an email anytime, take a load off, go have a stiff drink, or a smoothie, or a ice cream something, go watch some hilarious YouTube videos, or Between Two Ferns, or whatever you want to do, and then tomorrow or Saturday, get back into GRE studying, take a full-length test, do the homework, and come ready to work on Tuesday. Oh, it would be great if I saw you at office hours. That would be a lot of fun. Show up to office hours. I look forward to seeing you then. I will answer any of your questions there or by email, and I look forward to working with you in the home stretch here. Let's get it done. All right, signing off from Boston. I will see you all from New York on Tuesday night. Good night, everybody.